what is your hopefully outcome going to be? In the draft.
In the draft?
Not to give away any strategy or anything, just...
I know. I'm just trying to think of what I want. I think that something I really would like to do is get a good second running back who I really like. I don't know, after my third pick, then I have 10th, and then I kind of go back to back because we do a snake draft, so I'm kind of at the ends. I'll be happy as long as I get some good depth at wide receiver, and I also get a guy second running back who I really like.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be happy with that.
That second running back is going to be key because with wide receivers, they're so plentiful that having that key second running back is going to be so...
Yeah, I've heard some people even say since wide receiver is so deep and second running back is such a crapshoot, just draft all wide receivers and then draft your second running back later.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of guys look at Danny Woodhead and Fred Jackson. You pick up them and then they'll be not saying you'll be able to find them right away, but if you find players like that, you can ride them, especially in our league, because if you think about, you could have 4 wide receivers. You only have 2 running backs. So, and this is a PPR league, and generally wide receivers score more than running backs.
But having that little extra with your running back, it could really just help out your team get to a championship.
Yeah, I think running backs get overvalued in and they get overvalued, especially in PPR. So,
but this is gonna be one hell of a season. I'm really excited for it.
I can't believe it's already here.
I know. The one crazy thing is you and I are both in for the championship in our fantasy baseball league. We're both in the playoffs. So now we have to handle baseball and football all at the same time.
Football's not that hard because you check a few times, whereas baseball, you're checking every day.
Well, I'm more saying for the upcoming week where we're going to have to really think hard about who we're going to pick up in the draft and who we're going to start in our fantasy baseball league and how we're going to get the upper edge on our...
Are you going to be doing any mock drafts?
I'm actually probably tonight.
Yeah, you should all be doing mock drafts. I recommend everyone in our league, everyone in any league, just do some mock drafts. They're good to just kind of get an idea of your players, because the nice thing is I recommend try different strategies. What I would do is I'm going to go heavy on tight end, heavy on running back, heavy on wide receiver, and just kind of see how your roster shapes out when you try different things. Because, you really don't want to go into a draft and then draft one way and kind of it develops where, a team you don't really like. It's probably, it's safer to kind of get an idea of with other people of how your team can develop.
And one of the great things is learn your players that you're playing against. See what their tendencies are.
Yes.
See what they're valuing more. And sometimes play against them. Have them play against themselves.
Sure, but ultimately I think you need to rely on yourself.
Mm-hmm. I'm just ready for the season. Maybe I can actually have a winning record.
Yeah, that's always good. Football really is all about the matchups, and it's always hard to pick those players, when you're start. Who do I sit and who do I start? And that's really where a lot of winning and losing comes down to.
Yep. Yeah. Then there will only be one winner at the end of the day.
Yeah. So because football is a little bit more. It's more of a sprint than baseball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I think one of the people in our league, he plays fantasy baseball and he just can't never get those wins. But in fantasy football, I don't know how he does it, but he picks that one team. He's like, I'm going to get all the players on that team, and I'm going to win.
So that's kind of an interesting strategy. We'll talk a little bit about that. It's a guy named Johnny in our league. He last year, he had a pretty good strategy that worked out, which I was against, but I was actually kind of right in the end. He went all Denver. Got Peyton Manning. He got Wes Welker. He got Demaryius Thomas, and he also got Eric Decker. So when the Broncos went off, the first game of the season, he already had 100 points, and only one game had been played. It's really funny because then the guy who was playing, Kevin, he was like, "Well, my season's over. The game's over," because he hadn't had one player play, and he's already down 100 points.
Yeah.
So it's good when they go off, but when they don't, you're screwed. And that's what happened to him in the playoffs. Is his Denver players didn't play. I don't remember exactly what happened, but I think they got a bunch of rushing touchdowns or something.
Yeah, and I remember because they already clinched a playoff spot. It was the last game of the season. They didn't give two shits about that game.
Yeah, That's the dangerous thing about the fantasy playoffs. You got to make sure that the players you have on the team, they're not too good, because then potentially they could get sat in the later games.
And one of the things I love about fantasy anything is that you can be going so well, but it's a matter of time before everything just falls apart, and it always falls apart at the worst time possible.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. You really got to make sure that if you really want to be successful and if you want to win and you want to take this seriously, you got to put the time into your research. You really got to put energy into it if you want to win. It's kind of the law of physics, to kind of give you an analogy. They say that if you want something to continue running well, you need to constantly put energy into it. Anything in life that you do not put energy into, it's going to decay and it's eventually going to go away.
Yeah, like me last year. So last year I started out this season, was it like 6-0? And I was looking at myself like, oh yeah, this is my year. Sure. I did not make any trades in between then. I was like, my players are good. They're going to keep on going this way. And you looked at me and you're like, dude, you better watch out, man. Go improve your team. I know that they're scoring all these fucking points, but improve it. And I didn't. And what happened? I didn't put the time and effort into it, and my team fell apart big time. I ended up the season like the 5th seed and missing out on the playoffs and just looking like the loser that I am.
Sure. So I think we could also give some more other strategies for, people in our league and people listening to this who are in other leagues, maybe if they even reach this far. Number one, these are 2 big things I'm going to give you. Is number one is look at consistency in players. Look at their past, like how they done in the past, and see like, well, how's this guy done the last 3 years? Like, what's his average points? And you look at that, and you can kind of get an idea, make a prediction of how well he's going to do. You can also take into consideration his age and such. But when you combine that with kind of the law of averages, if you are in the middle of a season, the guy's having a down year, and you look at the law of averages and you say, he's scoring way under his career average. It's probably a guy you want to buy on and, give away a guy who's maybe overperforming, and you can look at his career numbers and say, this guy's overperforming. And you could do that. So combine the consistency and the law of averages. I think those are 2 things that you can use to evaluate players in trades and in the draft.
And throughout this whole entire little experiment that we're doing with this podcast, there's definitely going to be a lot of evolution to our channel, to what we're doing, and hopefully a lot more, just a little bit more strategy that you can utilize in your fantasy football league.
Yeah, we might even get some of our other league members on here, and if we get some of them to come to mind, there are going to be a lot of debates and a lot of heated. So if you like people, really smack talking and, going at each other, it's pretty interesting. Like, because Dave and I, we agree, and even if we disagree, we don't usually
fight
on it.
But there are some people in our league that actually do get down with an argument, and I love it with our league. There are people in there that will fight to the bitter end, and even as they're dying, they'll still admit that they're right.
Yeah, I used to be like that, but ultimately, I think that it shows a lot of character when you can admit you're wrong. And you know what? I think one of the things to point out is that you can't be so arrogant that you know everything. You're not going to know Peyton Manning's going to go off and throw 50 touchdowns. You're going to be wrong on players, and even no one's going to be smart enough to be able to predict all these players, because if they were, they go to Vegas and they make a ton of money. We don't know. We just make educated guesses. Sometimes they work out. Sometimes they don't.
Yep. And don't be afraid, though, to fail.
Yeah. So, in addition to that, I say go with your gut. Do your research. Do mock drafts. And most importantly, have fun.
Yeah. Have fun, right? Like what we're doing right here.
Unless you mortgage your house on Fantasy Football League, then win.
Then you have real big problems.
No, but then you have to win.
Oh, yeah. But you still have big problems because your wife is probably angry at you. Yep. Which, in my case, if I ever had a wife, she'd probably always be angry at me.
David, you need to get a wife soon.
Fuck that.
You need a wife.
Oh, God, no.
David, come on. You need to come home and have a nice home-cooked meal for you.
What's wrong with McDonald's?
Are you serious?
No, I'm not serious.
David, one day you're going to meet a woman. She's going to change your life.
No, she's going to be like, bitch, we're getting married, and we're going to have kids, and you know what I'm going to say?
Okay.
Well, I think that's about it. That wraps up our first ever episode of Fantasy Football.
So I think what we want to do next is next week we'll probably do another one, and what we'll do is we'll recap the draft. We'll talk about our drafts, and really going forward, like who we can maybe rate the teams, like who did what well. We'll see.
Maybe what we'll do is we'll bring this microphone over to our drafts and talk to a couple of people, maybe get a little interviews, and then I can edit it in, and we can see people's opinions on their team.
I don't know. How can we utilize this mic? Because, we could do like kind of that confessional type thing, but I don't know how that would go over.
We'll see. We'll see. But just know that we will be back for week 2, and next week is our draft.
Yeah. If anyone in our league is listening to this and they want to kind of have an updated list of who's available, I know Sunny has her own list, but I have my own Google Doc filled out with who's available in our league. And when we are going through the draft, I will be updating it. So if you want an updated, like pick by pick of who's available without having to, mark off your sheet, I will give you read-only access to this Google Doc so you can view it. So let me know if you want that. Kind of an interesting thing, like we're doing a live draft, and so we have a board and we put stickers on a board. We don't use the computers. It's just a little bit more fun. It's kind of old-fashioned, and I recommend anyone to try it. We have some people in our league who weren't huge fans of it, and they actually turned out to really like it.
Yep.
Put a little money into it, but it really kind of helps spawn the league. I think it maybe helps people take a little more seriously.
Yeah, and the social type of atmosphere does help out the league.
Sure.
Because I'm so happy with our league. I mean, we have I would say about 80% of our league that actually plays throughout the whole entire year.
Sure.
We do have those walk-ons that sometimes come out to be shit. But I can easily say that we have a healthy league.
Yeah. I just think that we need to make sure other people have fun. And I think that we need to always remember that, we want to be competitive, we want to win, but you need to have fun. You need to make sure other people in the league are having fun, because if everyone in the league isn't having fun, your league's going to fail. And ultimately, what really makes a fun league is a league that's kind of a core of like 6-7 people are together like for the whole time. And that's really what you want to develop. Mm-hmm. One of the things I do want to brag about is kind of what I did with that Google Doc that I was mentioning that I put together. Is one of our members isn't going to be able to be at our live draft, unfortunately. And this guy loves to auto draft. This guy is Kevin, and he doesn't love to auto draft. He hates auto drafting, but he loves being able to draft his team. And since we're a live draft, he can't check and see what's going on his phone, and he's really bummed about that. So what I did, I threw together this Google Doc, this Google spreadsheet, and I listed all the players. So as we're going pick by pick in this live draft, I'm going to update it and kind of show who's been marked off. So our friend, he's going to actually still be able to draft his team for the most part when he's able to get to his phone by looking who's available and let me know and text in. So it's kind of a cool idea to anyone out there who might be in the same situation. There's ways around, not being a live draft. You can potentially set up a Google Doc and you can mark it off pick by pick. And your friend can look at the thing and he can say, oh, I want this guy, I want that guy.
I just hope that he's not going to get in trouble by his fiancée. Because this is his fiance's birthday.
No, her birthday was 2 weeks ago. But ultimately, it's Kevin's decision. I'm not making him draft. I'm trying to give him the option to. Yeah. He's a big boy. He can make his own decisions.
And I think it's going to work out perfectly.
Yeah, hopefully he'll be able to throw in a few. But I'm going to guess that probably 66% of the picks Kevin will help me out with. Probably in the later rounds, he won't be able to help me out as much.
Yeah. But
I can handle it. It's funny because I'm in this weird situation where, if I really want to be a good deck, I can really screw over Kevin and draft like Tony Romo in like the first round. But ultimately, I'm not going to do that because I want to make sure that everyone, especially Kevin, has a good time in this league. He likes his team because I think that you really want to make sure that you don't have a bad apple. You want to make sure that people are all having fun and you want it to be competitive.
Yep. And there's a reason why he trusts you enough to say, dude, yeah, you can help me draft my team.
Because he'll sit on me if he does.
Oh, he's going to sit on you?
Yeah, he threatened to sit on me.
Oh, dude, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and he said that he wouldn't wash beforehand.
You're skinny enough. Oh, man.
Yes.
Oh. That's not a pretty picture.
No. In addition to that, he said he would put on Kelly's yoga pants again and sit on me. It's even worse.
God, we have a picture of that, too.
Yeah, you have it on your wall.
Oh!
David has, like, the Fat Hub Jimmy Graham. He has a picture of Kevin in one. You probably have an Asha and Jeffrey one here behind the couch.
I actually keep that for later on tonight.
He has underneath his mattress. He just pulls out this big poster.
And I put it on top of my wall so I can look at him.
You look up at the stars.
It's pretty bad for me to be doing that with me being a Green Bay Packer fan.
So, yeah.
I think that's it for our podcast.
Well, hats off to anyone who made this far. You know, we don't do Twitter, but like a lot of podcasts, what they'll do is they'll say like, oh, hashtag whatever if you get this far. Comment below in the video or text me. Actually, comment in the video. What should something be if you made it this far?
So the last one was blue balls.
Yeah, for baseball. Well, I know I was thinking about this one. We could, I think it should be That's What She Said.
That's what she said, yeah.
That's what she said, Alshon Jeffrey. But probably just say That's What She Said. Again,
thank you very much.
Sunny for listening because she's probably like shaking her head like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm listening to this fucking idiots for an hour and a half.
Of course, she's just sitting at her cubicle just doing her work.
But I don't know because I think I gave away a little bit of my draft strategy in this podcast, but I think I'm okay with it. I think that a lot of it can be pretty obvious. I didn't say who I would draft. I kind of gave you some value in my players, but I'm confident with doing it, even if
I can always make your voice into like one of those like unnoticeable voices, so she probably won't know who's talking.
Yeah.
That would go over very well, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that wouldn't go. I think my voice would be hard to
put you as a woman voice or chipmunk voice.
I don't want to hear that. Yeah. So the mic's going well. You know, hopefully, I really hope that we get more people outside of our league. I doubt it because you know there's probably a lot of fantasy podcasts out there.
I think that if we just start out with 0 and make our way up to 1 to 2 to 3.
Yeah, but realistically, I think it'll be like Sonny, Kelly, and like Kevin once or twice. And that's gonna be it for us.
No. Like, so I've been doing YouTube for just a little bit of time, and one thing I noticed. Okay, everyone starts out with 0, right?
Sure.
Over the time, it takes about 4 years for you to actually build up your empire. Sure. And so we're starting out day 1. This is day 1, people. And you start out here, and hopefully we'll stick around with us. So for me, this is David Lee.
This is Matt.
And thank you for listening to our fantasy football podcast. I forget what we're calling this podcast now.
We're calling it the Sonoma Peeps Fantasy Podcast or something like that.
Yes.
What do you think? Wait, if anyone has any ideas of a name, let us know. It's got to be PG because this is a family podcast. Remember that, family?
I don't know. I don't speak English.
We want to have a work-friendly podcast. We want to have you play it in your workplace and everyone listen to it. And they're like, these guys are good.
Oh, so we could get the PG audience.
PG. We can have young children listen to it. Infants. We could if we get big enough. This is what I imagine. You know, your baby's crying. You just like put on our...
My baby?
Your baby, you know, is crying and you just put on our podcast and then he's like, oh, this is nice. I'm going to go to bed with this. Like, Alshon Jeffrey, Jimmy Graham.
As daddy's watching.
Yeah, you'll have like a little baby with that little figures of Jimmy Graham, Alshon Jeffrey just going around.
And be like, and one day I won the championship with these people and you will too.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I wonder how like young people are. Like, are they like preteen kids playing fantasy football? Probably, but
I don't know. Hey, if you know somebody like that, just comment down below.
If anyone knows any preteen fantasy football leagues that they play for money, please let me know so I can join their leagues and take all their money.
Oh God. I think from there we'll end this here, and I'll see you guys
until next time. On the Sonoma Peeps podcast.
PG. Remember, this is a PG show.
Family.